Hello everyone, it's Devin, and welcome to another album review. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the new Anderson .Paak album, Ventura. Ventura is the fourth studio album from singer, songwriter, rapper, drummer, Oxnard, California native, Anderson .Paak. To me, Anderson .Paak has always been an artist who has really set himself apart from his contemporaries with his incredible charisma and his unique blend of styles, and it has now been 5 years since Anderson .Paak's debut album dropped, the album Venice. Not the best album, but it was a record that showcased the interesting blend of hip-hop and soul music and funk and R&B that Anderson .Paak brings to his music. Paak would later capitalize on his potential on his second album, 2016's excellent Malibu, a beautiful, luscious, classy blend of warm sounds and styles that was boosted by fantastic songs like The Season / Carry Me and Come Down. I really love Malibu. It was one of my favorite albums of 2016. I consider it to be one of the most essential R&B albums of the 2010s, and it was a record where Anderson .Paak really felt like he was coming into his own as a multifaceted artist with full force and really becoming one of the decade's premier voices in R&B. Now, late last year, Anderson .Paak dropped his eagerly anticipated third album, Oxnard, and while many really loved this album, I was personally left pretty disappointed. You could argue that Oxnard is more wild and creative than its predecessor, but I found it to also be much more flawed. Oxnard featured executive production from the legendary Dr. Dre, and while you gotta respect Dr. Dre, I don't think his production did Paak many favors on this album, as compared to Malibu, Oxnard was considerably more rigid, less organic, and the whole thing had this kind of plastic edge to some of the instrumentals and the drums that I just didn't care for. Combine that with a handful of real duds in the track listing, and Oxnard was a pretty inconsistent project in my opinion. I didn't find myself returning to it nearly as much as I had been with Malibu. And now, only half a year later, we have LP number 4, Ventura. And while Ventura was recorded over the same extended period of time as Oxnard, this is certainly not Oxnard Part 2 or just the B-sides of that album. In fact, I think Ventura is quite a bit better than Oxnard. On Ventura, Anderson .Paak sacrifices some of the oddball variety of Oxnard and returns to his comfort zone, to the smooth neo-soul of his previous work. In addition to being more sonically pleasing than Oxnard, Ventura is much leaner and more consistent too, at only 11 tracks and 39 minutes in length. The album starts off on a high note with the track Come Home, a song that features great drumming, gorgeous effects, and bits of woodwinds, and a fantastic verse from Andre 3000 in the last third of the song. You guys know how I feel about Andre 3000. Please drop new music, Andre, please. Overall, it's an excellent, fiery opening track, and one that sets the tone of the album very well. Next we get one of the lead singles from this album, the very chilled out Smokey Robinson featuring Make It Better. Not one of my absolute favorites on the album, but the chord progression, the chorus, and the overall vibe of the track are all pretty killer. Some other highlights include the track Winner's Circle, which has some really smooth background singers, a great beat switch up in the second half, and a super slick bass line. Like, the groove on this song is so good. Jet Black is another favorite for me on Ventura. I love the super funky kick drum clap pattern and these incredible synthetically modified vocal harmonies that just they sell the song, and they have this nice, sleek, early 2000s sheen about them that I really love and makes the song really stand out in the album. For much of the album, I can't say that every single groove is great, but when Paak really locks into a great song, it's really good. I'm quite enamored with the closer on here, the track What Can We Do, which features some sampled vocals from the late great Nate Dogg, the man behind some of the most iconic hooks in hip-hop history, and a major source of inspiration for Anderson .Paak here. Interpolating unreleased vocals from a deceased artist is always a very precarious operation because you really run the risk of creating a very awkward, stilted, and generally disrespectful song. But on this track, Paak's vocals blend with Nate's heavenly singing in a way that translates a ton of class, soul, and above all, respect. This isn't anything like that awful song that was on the last Drake album that featured unreleased vocals from Michael Jackson, where this recording itself was really rough and also wasn't handled with any care or respect at all, and the track in general just was pretty bad. No, this is much more like that bit at the end of To Pimp a Butterfly where Kendrick Lamar is having a conversation with Tupac from beyond the grave. This Nate Dogg track here is just as beautiful as it is deeply surreal and kind of sad, and it finishes off Ventura just as strongly as it started with Come Home. For as sky high as the highlights and the best songs on Ventura are, it isn't without its flaws, as there are some songs I don't really care for all that much and I find to be kind of redundant or just generally uninspired, like the track Yada Yada or the very brief sub 2-minute track Good Heels. And while the production on here is much smoother and much more suited to Paak's strengths than what we got on Oxnard, there are still moments where a groove will strike me as kind of rigid, particularly on the song Twilight. And overall, I still can't help but feel that the mixes aren't quite as organic as what we got on Malibu 3 years ago, but still, definitely an improvement over Oxnard in my mind. So while Malibu remains my personal favorite Anderson .Paak album, I do think Ventura is a cut above Oxnard, and has really put Anderson .Paak back on the right track and has made me excited about him again. There are a lot of great songs on here that I will probably be returning to throughout the year, and for a score, I'm feeling a firm 7 out of 10. Yeah, really dug it. If you haven't already, check it out. Because that's a good album. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a nice comment. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye!